Hey everyone, welcome back to another Preset Biz remake video. So today we're going to take a look at remaking Alok's song with Harrison, Tell Me Why. And this one's been requested a couple of times, rightly so, because it's a banger. And it features a really unique bass line as well, which is quite hard to recreate, so hopefully we can get that close today. But I'll stop talking, let's jump in FL and see how close we get. So we're going to make a start with the pluck sound, which you hear right from the beginning, and I believe this is a sample from a Small Town Boy song. So it's a really iconic melody, you'll all know it by now, but this is basically it on its own. And the pluck that we're using for this is a pluck called Bounce from Car Music Vol.1. I literally didn't have to change anything, it just kind of fit perfectly like the original song. So the next sound I want to look at are these brass stabs which play in the background on the first part of the song, and also in the chorus you'll hear them as well. But they're slightly different on the MIDI side of things. So let's start with the first bit of MIDI we've got here, which is just these stabs here. And so this is a brass stab from Main Stage Vol.1. It's got an entire folder dedicated to brass stabs, so it's perfect if you just want to drag and drop a sample quickly. So I've just done a bit of shaping to get rid of some of the tail, and also some mod X, basically doing a low pass on there so it's a bit more muffled. And I'm automating this amount so when it comes to the chorus section later on, it will just be a fully opened brass sound. So as we head into this part here where the build is, the chords actually kind of change a bit, so we've got a different MIDI for the brass. But before we jump any further in the arrangement, let's take a look at the chords that are played right from the start. So this sound consists of 3 layers. We've got this chord sound called Lunar Keys, which you can get in Synth Pop Vol.1. And we'll be using loads more Synth Pop Vol.1 in this remake because it's such a good pack for all of that classic 80s synth pop kind of stuff. We've then got this Aqua Pad, which is from the same pack, and this is more of a pad sound rather than a chord kind of key sound. So more of like a vibey, ambient, slow release, slow attack kind of sounding. And then finally, we're just going to beef it up a little bit with this Reese sound here, Reese Devil, which you can get in Main Stage Vol.1. So to go alongside all of the 80s kind of vibe stuff we've got right now, we're missing some of the drums, and I'm starting this with a Synth Pop Vol.1 kick. So this is just a soft kind of acoustic sounding kick. And then we've then got these snare sounds. Now we've got the introduction of some hi-hats. And then I've noticed this really subtle closed hi-hat which I've grabbed from Piano House Vol.1. And I think this gets played every 8th or 16th note. So then we've also got these really nice open hi-hats which are being played at the end of every bar. So now we've got like a really disco-y kind of feeling beat. Now to kind of emphasize that, I've grabbed this drum loop from Synth Pop Vol.1, and this just really helps to add a bit of that kind of organic touch to the whole loop, because right now we've just got one shots. Alright, so last thing on the drums, just as we go into the build section, before that we've got this big snare which is laid on top of the other snare hits. And then the final element before we kind of sweep into the build is this laser which I've just reversed. Okay, so let's move on to this lead sound that's in the build section. So this is where we start to kind of leak a lot of the chorus elements in here. So here, as you can see, I've got the lead MIDI in there, and then I've also got a bit of automation on the filter frequency within Serum, so the whole sound's kind of opening up a bit. Alright, so now I'm adding in a respace on here, and like we said earlier, we're basically playing different MIDI here, so this just changes the vibe of the song completely. So this is the MIDI I've got for this new respace. And here is the preset, it's called Reese Devil from Main Stage Vol.1. Oh, and also before I forget, the preset that I used for the lead sound is a preset called Lead the J, which you can get from Car Music Vol.3. So this is what we have so far. And now we're going to add a load more hype elements in there to really build it up. So let's start this with these stadium claps, which add a lot of hype, and they're pretty much spot on with the original. And then I've introduced a bunch of impacts. So we've got this cinematic one here. We've got this high impact. Now we've got this snare sound which I've taken from Fish in the Lake Vol.2. Pretty standard snare, quite a subtle, discrete snare. So when we hit this bit here, there's more snares introduced as well. And so here are those snares now that I was talking about. So we've got big snare again, which I've taken from Main Stage Vol.1. And then we also have this Fish in the Lake Vol.2 snare. And then now, of course, it's just a case of adding a bunch of risers and just trying to get as close as I can to the original. Okay, so now I've added in the impact sub drop that comes in right before the pre-drop. And then here what I've done is taken the snare that we used earlier on for that kind of disco-y drum loop, and that's being used as the fill, and then we've also got a big snare reverse going into it. Okay, so the final most important element of this part of the pre-drop here is this reverse sound, which I've created from the lead sound that we've just done in the builds. Take the first note, render it, put a massive reverb on it, and then reverse it, and you get this. Alright, so that's the production summed up for the verses and the build sections. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to smash the like button, hit subscribe as well so you don't miss the video on Friday. Because of course we're going to dive into the bass line, which is super intricate. It's got so many cool elements in it, and I'm really excited to show you guys that part. But let's go and take a listen back to what we did in today's video, and I'll see you guys on Friday for the next part.